Again, I'm State Representative Ross Wolman, former chair of the Iowa Democratic Party, proud to serve as your MC today as we get going. Such a fantastic turnout. Fantastic turnout. So thank you all. Give yourselves a round of applause. Welcome to the Story County Democrats Fall Fundraiser. I do want to pause for a moment, and let's start by, for those who are able and willing, to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll get us going. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and thank you for everyone who served and the Gold Star families out there. I do want to pause for a moment before I get into my brief comments, and we're trying to hold our speakers to 10 minutes today, and I will endeavor to do the same when I'm talking about me. But I would like to take a moment, a brief moment. I can't pass over a significant moment, once again in our history, with what's happening in the Middle East, the tragic loss of life. If I could ask you to just think about those who were tragically killed. All of us in our lifetimes have been hoping for peace in the Middle East and want to support President Biden as he and his team continue to work towards that end. I also would like us to think about those who have passed away, both in our country, in Story County, and Ames. And I'd like all of us to think about those who are living and who are managing some type of illness. We certainly want to give you all our hopes, our strength, and prayers that you're all able to work towards wellness, both physical health and mental. And I will just take a personal point of privilege to ask for you to think about my sister-in-law who has inoperable lung cancer just diagnosed a couple weeks ago. So thanks for that brief moment, and let's continue on with the show. So I did mention State Representative Ross Wilburn, proud to serve as your House District 50 representative here, and it's been an honor to serve for you, and I just get fired up knowing that Story County has my back, that you have all of our electeds back, and you have each other's back, because there are some folks who not only just locally but across the nation that have bought into lawlessness. One of them happens to be a former president. We have to acknowledge that he was our president, but that they represent lawlessness, that they represent hate and fear. And it's important that we show up and we speak up and we speak out and get people registered to vote, get people who didn't vote last time, the 60,000 plus registered Democrats, let alone other parties. We can't, elections are too important. We can't allow hate to take over our country. We can't allow hate and fear to take over our state or our local community. Yeah. I mentioned I'm former chair of the Iowa Democratic Party, and you might say, what do former chairs of the party do? Outside of serving the legislature, I have been traveling around the state trying to help with candidate recruitment, both for this fall's elections with school board and city councils, and we've got to get out and support those because we saw what happened here in Ames and Story County 2 years ago. We see it not here, but around Ankeny and in Lynn County and down to Polk County. Those efforts by some folks who they don't have in mind people over politics. They're in it for their right-wing efforts. They're in it to make us hate and fear each other and make sure that that a select few who can afford to have all of us pay for their children to go to K-12 as opposed to in those private schools, as opposed to what's happening. I've also been working with our state chair, Rita Hart, whenever I don't never impose anything or try and step on her toes, but anytime she's been calling for my assistance or opinion, whether it's working with the folks at the DNC, working with the folks here on the Central Committee, as well as just trying to help us pull together all of our collective efforts, regardless of party, to put people in office who are going to put people first, as opposed to being selfish, looking out for some right-wing agenda. So we are all looking to lower costs. We are all looking to invest in our public schools. We are all looking to protect reproductive freedom, and that's what we can work on together. So, no, this former state party chair isn't fading away. I'm here for the long haul. I'm working with you, and I'll be announcing my re-election campaign later on in November. So, thank you. I want to quickly acknowledge our local electeds, the folks who are representing us. We've got our team from the county. We've got, you can stand or wave or whatever you wish to do, just so folks can know that you're here. We've got Lisa Hedden and Linda Merkin. Yep, Linda Merkin. Latifa Faisal, our county supervisors. We've got our county attorney, Tim Mills. I know he's over there. Tim, good to see you. We've got our treasurer, Ted. Ted Rasmussen, you here, Ted? Where are you at, Ted? Oh, he's at the soccer game. Okay. He must have run out real quick then. So, and then obviously Lucy Martin, our strong county auditor. Sheriff, are you here, Paul? There he is, right out there. Great to see you, Paul. We've got right front and center, Senator Herman Kornbach, my colleague in the legislature. Let's see, I don't want to forget anybody. We've got some former legislators and county chairs here. I see Jan Bowers. She might be out there. There she is back there. And Ralph Rosenberg. Former city attorney John Klaus. John's out there. John's with me. He's not going to fade away. We keep working, don't we, buddy? Charlie Brenner's here. Yep, good to see you, Charlie. Right there. Former Mayor Ann Campbell. Once a mayor, always a mayor. So we always have that connection. And we've got some candidates here for Congressional District 4, so we can get Mr. Feenstra out of there, right? Yeah. So we've got Ryan Melton right here. What's that?
Linda Merkin.
Oh, Linda, okay. I'll come back to Linda. Sorry about that, Linda. I'll come back to you, Linda. Hold on. I'll add an extra special comment, too, for forgetting you there. Where was I? Ryan, and we've got another Ryan for House District 51. I know Jay's here, running for Jay Brown, running for Congressional District 4. And let's see, that brings me back to Linda Merkin. Linda, our county supervisor, and since I forgot you, I will just mention that one of my first opportunities to help support a county candidate was Linda, and I remember spending some time with her, knocking doors, but also at, it was one of my first campaign events here, and so thank you so much. Did I forget anybody? Latifa. I know, I said Latifa. Yeah, I said Latifa. knock me in the head later. So, having said that, I do want to mention that I know Ryan and Jay have some petitions to get their name on the ballot. There's a group over here. I think there might be a group back there. When you see them speak, come talk to them. Make sure that you sign the appropriate petition for the correct county. Thank you. All right, having said that, let's get right to our speakers. We will start with House District 48. That's Penny Vossler. Penny, I've marched in parades with her, and she's even more talented than I hope to be, because she can crochet and knit while marching in a parade and passing out stuff. So come on up.
All right. A minute ago, I sat down at my table and opened the agenda for this afternoon and found out that I'm the opening act. So that was exciting. I would like to first off thank whoever ordered today's weather. You did a great job. And everybody who brought food. That's a very nice spread over there. And those of you who had a molasses cookie, you're welcome. I just wrote down a little sticky note of 3 items that I wanted to talk with you about today. And I love speaking here because this is preaching to the choir, right? These are my people. You guys all agree with me before I even say anything. So this is a year ago. This was my very first campaign speech ever in my whole life. Those of you who haven't met me may not know anything about me. I was born and raised in Montana on a farm and a ranch, so I'm equally at home on a horse or a tractor. Full-time in the field by the time I was 12, raking hay with a little tractor and a side delivery rake for the farmers in the group. Long days in the field, and good food. Mom was always a great cook. And from there, I went on to, after not being a gambler, having lived on a farm all my life and realizing that you have to be a gambler to be a farmer. You're gambling on the weather and the price of everything. I decided I would go off to college, first one in my family, and I came away a few years later with a husband, 2 children, and a degree in math. And so I was a math teacher for 13 years, during which time I also got an EMT certification and spent evenings, weekends, and all summer in the back of an ambulance, which was very rewarding. It's like being Santa Claus and UPS rolled into one, because everybody's always glad to see you, right? And it's rewarding. It's really rewarding work. From there, I went back to school, deciding that being a teacher was going to leave me in poverty for the rest of my life. So, and I got divorced, went back to school. I thought these computers looked like a good career, so I started computer programming and got hired at the USGS Aero Data Center, which my first semester back to school. So then school became an evening thing, and I worked on a NASA satellite project as an associate scientist, which is a glamorous title that I'll happily put on a resume, but the job was not quite so glamorous as the title. But it's great to have done that, and a few more college degrees later, a master's in space studies, and one in GIS. I took a detour through Colorado, worked for a cartography firm, got a top secret security clearance to work on U.S. government maps, and then I came to Iowa because the best reason of all, grandma time. My son and his family were at Iowa State, and so I came to spend a lot of time with my granddaughter, which was great. And of course, she's a senior in high school now, and there's not a lot of time for grandma anymore. But she's busy and productive and happy and healthy, and I couldn't be prouder. So I retired this year. I'm now a free woman. I have 100% of my time when I'm not reading or watching TV or knitting or petting the cat to devote to a campaign. And I'm excited In January, I'll kick off. I threw some cards down over here on the table, but my campaign is not officially up and running until January. I'm going to announce then, it'll be big and splashy, and I'll have the staff all lined up and everything all printed and ready to go. So in the meantime, have you had enough of this legislature? Who is filled up to here, right? There's so much ammunition, you don't even know what to shoot at, right? It's like a pop-up range and it all pops up at once. We've got so much to talk about, but I've narrowed it down to education. When I was a kid, we took the Iowa Basic Skills Test in Montana, and I had a friend in New Jersey who took the Iowa Basic Skills Test. Iowa's education was the gold standard across the country, and everybody measured their child's educational attainment against Iowa. How's it going now? Anybody saying, ooh, wish we had education like Iowa? We should move to Iowa so our kids could get a good education? You ever hear that? No. And it's the direct responsibility of this, it's this legislation that we've had for the past 10 years or so has systematically underfunded our education. They claim, I have heard Phil Thompson stand up in a public forum and say, we are funding education has historic rates. Well, if you give that school district a nickel more than they had last year, technically that's true. That is a historic high funding rate. But their expenses went up $2. So that's in effect a cut. They are cutting staff. They're cutting teachers, they're cutting programs, they're cutting everything that they can. Teachers are begging, there are fundraisers to buy things like Kleenex and toilet paper, for goodness sake. If we cannot fund our schools so they can afford to put Kleenex in the classroom, I'm just so embarrassed for Iowa. It's awful. And we don't stop there with underfunding. Then we've decided to take some of our education dollars and give it to wealthy people who are sending their kids to private school. Private school is billed as a choice, but it's not a parent's choice. The schools get to choose the students that they'll take. Oh, your kid's grades aren't high enough? Your kid had some sort of an incident on the record, a black mark? No, they're trouble, we don't want them. Well, if they're a good athlete, maybe we'll take them if we've got an athletics program. Special needs? Nope, we don't offer those programs here. So they're choosing the best and the brightest and leaving the public school system to deal with everybody else's kid. And they're siphoning off the money and giving it to people who don't need the money in the first place. It's appalling. It's appalling. Okay, we all agree on that. Book banning. When in history have the book banners ever been the good guys? No, never. And still not. And attacking our kids and our teachers. These are all reasons why our current legislature has been so horrific. School, the morale is low. Teachers are leaving the state in droves because they're getting better offers. Every state around us pays their teachers better, and they don't attack them all the time. They don't threaten to jail them. So things are not going to get any better unless we change the leadership. Yeah. And that changing the leadership starts with supporting every candidate, every Democrat candidate. If you can find an independent candidate, vote for them too, but check them out. Support them in any way that you can. We'll have a brief little segue into eminent domain. We all understood that eminent domain was to be used only in cases of public good, not for private profit, not to dump billions of dollars into oil companies. they're just trying to get all that tax money that's supposed to go for clean, green energy, and they found a way that they can extend the life of our fossil fuel industry and siphon off tax dollars at the same time. That's a win-win for them. But it doesn't do any good for us. It doesn't do anything for our economy. It doesn't do anything for our environment. And nope. It's not for a public use. You can't have my tax dollars for your, you can't use eminent domain and my tax dollars, because we would be funding, our tax dollars would fund these pipelines. So we would pay to have them built, and then they would come in and scoop up huge, billions of dollars of our tax dollars. So we really have to fight against that, and we had good news this week. One of them pulled out. That leaves 2 left, so let's keep up the good fight there. And the third one is women's health care. Now, a good number of you are women in here, and another bunch of you are men who either love women or understand that they should have a right. I would like to say to the anti-abortion group that, first of all, every unwanted pregnancy starts with one thing, and that is a penis. These women are not getting pregnant by themselves. I don't see any legislation curtailing the activities of men or ruining their lives in any way, given that they're the cause of this. Now, if you brought up the subject that, well, maybe we should regulate men's activities where they're spreading their semen around and prevent some of these unwanted pregnancies, we wouldn't have any need for abortion. People go, oh, no, you can't tell men what to do with their bodies. Well, why do you think you can tell women what to do with their bodies? And plus, abortion is health care. My first pregnancy... My first pregnancy was a tubal pregnancy. That tubal pregnancy, for those of you who aren't in the know, which includes pretty much everybody in our legislature, let me explain a little bit about this. The egg can get fertilized before it gets down to the uterus. If it gets fertilized high enough up in there, it gets stuck in the fallopian tube, and it doesn't get down to the uterus. And then it starts to grow there and expand, because that's what those little cells do. And before long, it's damn painful, let me tell you. Drop to the floor and crawl over, and you can't reach the wall phone, because this is a long time ago, and to call for help. I mean, thinking you're going to die right there on the floor. That's the kind of situation it is. But the pain ebbed. I got to the phone, called my mom. She got help there. I was taken to emergency surgery, and they removed it. This procedure, removing that ectopic pregnancy, is considered an abortion and would be illegal. Which is the reason why Iowa is now rapidly becoming, well, they're already classified as a women's healthcare desert. There are no OBGYNs dying to move to Iowa and take jobs here. But not going to do that. A lot of other states are seeing the same situation because they can't care for this patient without possibly losing their livelihood and being put in jail. But I would be dead if that ruptures. I mean, anything ruptures inside your body, that's not a good thing, right? I don't care what's rupturing, but anytime something inside of you ruptured, that's a bad deal. So you can bleed out, and it doesn't take very long. Right, Dr. Brown? Just checking my facts, because I try to keep it real. So if doctors can't treat, how many young women in this state are going to die unnecessarily? Your daughters, your granddaughters, your niece, your nephew. Well, not your nephew. Your niece's wife. Your niece, your nephew and his wife. Family tragedies are going to happen everywhere. And so many of our people don't realize how many pregnancies end. It's at least 1 in 4, maybe more, end in some sort of a miscarriage. And the tissue that is miscarried doesn't necessarily come out all clean. You may have to have a procedure to remove the rest of that. And that, again, would be illegal with the new laws they're passing. So then you're looking at infections and sepsis and death. And so with that lovely thought, let's get rid of these yahoos in the office who don't know what they're doing, who don't seem to care about any of us. They want to just give our tax breaks to wealthy people, and you just, you don't need to be educated. We don't want you reading or thinking or knowing too much, We just want you to let us, we'll take care of it. There, be a good little citizen, and we'll just take care of everything. Don't worry about it. And it's time for us to stand up. So all of you know that something needs to be done. And it doesn't mean somebody else needs to do it. It means you need to do something. If you volunteer with a campaign, host a little fundraiser, throw a few dollars at it, go knock on some doors, just put a sign in your yard. Whatever it is that you can do, make some phone calls. Whatever you can do for a candidate, contact that candidate and do it.
Thank you so much, Penny. And again, Penny's running for Iowa House District 48. And as Ryan Condon makes his way up here for House District 51, I did want to mention that the two seats we're talking about here are Dave Dio and Phil Johnson. And one of the things that we learned from the last election is that Kim Reynolds had primaried several folks and won many of those, and that pulled their party further, I don't even want to say to the right, I want to say to just, you all said it. It's critical that we have people in the legislature that are going to put you first, that are going to be thoughtful, take your input, and work hard for all of us as opposed to a very small segment of the state. So with that said, let's hear from Ryan.
Okay. All right, so this is more people than I thought were going to be here, so if I'm nervous, give me a break. So my name is Ryan Condon. I am a married father of four. My wife, Marilyn, came today. She didn't want to, but I forced her. I said, you're a politician's wife now, so. I have four boys, Jack, Jake, Jonah, and Jet, and my oldest is graduating high school, and my youngest is in first grade, so my life is basically a living hell. And my niece, Abby, is there at the table too, and she is attending ISU. So I was a graduate of ISU. I majored in psychology, learned quickly that without a doctorate, that was a huge mistake. I was very poor for a long time, but I grew up as an Army brat. My entire family's military. My father was in for 35 years. My brother's been in for 20. I was in for 8. And then things started popping off in the military, and I got out of there quick. When I was part of the Iowa National Guard, I received the Faithful Service Award, which is the highest decoration that you can receive in the Iowa National Guard. I saved a guy's life many years ago during a traffic wreck, and so had received that honor from Governor Chet Culver back when Iowa hadn't lost its mind. So I'm not the kind of guy that sought to run for office. I didn't want to do this. It wasn't until the last legislative session that just got me thinking that this is insane. This isn't the Iowa that I grew up in or Maryland grew up in. Everything has gone cuckoo. And we're not dealing with an opposition party anymore. You're dealing with a party that lies, hates with no consequence whatsoever. when they debate, they openly lie, and no one ever calls on them. They have an entire network that reinforces this hate and fear. And I hate to say it, but my father and my brother, as much as I love them, have succumbed to this. Like I said, we all were in the military, and they love Trump. They just can't get enough of him. He can do no wrong. When the insurrection happened, and I talk about that now with them, they're like, what insurrection? It was live on TV. I didn't think this was a thing. I had to explain to them that, no, when you break the glass of the Capitol, you spread shit. Sorry, I'm going to probably swear a little. You smear shit on our Capitol walls. When you're in the Speaker of the House office with your feet on her desk, that's an insurrection. There aren't things like alternative facts. When you have an ex-president steal top secret information and have them in a bathroom, this shouldn't be a point of contention, but in my family it is. They say it's the people's house, so there was no crime. It's hard to argue with that. I'm a person, and I don't remember giving them permission to do that, but that's what we're dealing with, and now it's here in Iowa. This isn't far off in DC. And when I talk about Republicans, I don't mean conservatives. I don't mean normal people that are conservatives, that believe in lower taxes and things like that. I'm talking about specifically our Republican Party. There's going to be some crossover here with Penny, and I apologize. But when you're talking about banning books, I live in Story County, I live in Nevada, and just found out the list that we have banned books in our schools include 1984, A Catcher in the Rye, Huckleberry Finn, Diary of Anne Frank. Well, God forbid. This is madness. One of the reasons that I'm running is term limits. And I do that because, well, gerrymandering and term limits. But we have to face facts here. We're not fighting a war. The war is done. We lost. We lost bad. Iowa is completely red. There are little pockets of blue in here. This isn't a war anymore. It's an insurrection. We're trying to fight to take back the decency of our state. Brian Melton's running for 4th District. He's the one who actually talked me into running because I felt like we as the Democratic Party have been beaten so badly. And the people at the State House, God love them. I know they're fighting the good fight, but when you're outnumbered 2-1, there's nothing you can do. Abortion access, banning books, tax cuts for the rich. You want to talk about flat tax? Let's talk about it. But let's not start at people $1 million plus get the tax break first. And maybe in 12 years, people making $100,000 might see it. These are all things that have already passed. Again, they won. They've gerrymandered the state so much that the hopes for a Democrat win are next to none in some districts. The 4th, again, it's a desert for Democrats, and good luck for running there. Term limits, I think, is the only way that we fix this. That and the money in our politics go hand in hand. I believe that there should be 3 term limits for any individual in any elected office. You have the first year where you figure things out, you get to know your job, your second year where you accomplish it, your third year where you finish out whatever you hope to do, and that's it. That's the game. No more 43 years in office. Chuck Grassley is older than the chocolate chip cookie. This is insane. And they keep being bought. I have $400 in my campaign account. I think Dave Dayo might have a penny or two more. So they've gerrymandered it. They've got their tax cuts. They have everybody bought and paid for. It's up to people like you guys to help us fight this fight. And it's going to be long. This isn't going to be a one election cycle. We have to work hard to get this back just to a level playing ground. Not even talking about winning, just back to a level playing ground. One of my favorite things that happened in the last legislative session, and I just can't get over it, I wish my life worked like this. The governor gets caught misappropriating funds. Would get in trouble in a normal place, but not here, not in Iowa. Instead, our legislator just took away the auditor's power to investigate, and that's it, problem removed. No repercussions, no problem whatsoever. He has to have the people he's investigating agree to be investigated. I don't know how much further you have to look for Trump's influence other than that. I'm sure that Trump would love that. And God bless the people working to take him down now. I'm going to finish up. I have to admit I was part of the problem. I thought if I just went out and voted, I didn't need to do anything else. I voted for my party and that was it. I didn't have to volunteer. I didn't have to door knock, donate, run for office, because we're Americans. We're decent people. We believe in freedom, the Constitution, not smearing shit in the Capitol. We're not okay. We're not okay as a nation. We're not okay as a state. We're pretty damn far from okay. This sickness has taken hold in our state. It's up to all of us in this room, in our county, in our country, to undo this. I'm going to try to do my part. I hope you'll help me do that. I appreciate your time. I look forward to speaking with you all.
Very good, very good. Thank you. And so before we get to our hat pass is next. And before we get to that, I did want to just share a quick thing while John Magley makes his way back up. Somebody said it was Mr. Heddens, but I'm not gonna go there. There you go. So while he gets ready for that, I did want to pick up on that notion about resources and time, and we all do have to do just a little bit more. As I know Herman, we've been making our way around the state, the House and the Senate. In the House, we've been having town hall meetings, and I was in one in Davenport. There's a Republican representative there, and we had on a Saturday when there were a lot of music and athletic events going on in Davenport. We had about 50 people show up, and they were about half Democrats. There were the other third was a mix of no party and Republicans. And of the Democrats who were there, the chair at the time told me that she hadn't seen half of those Democrats. And, we didn't say, we're coming to town, we want to hear from Democrats. We said, we're coming to town because your Republican legislator is not having these meetings. They're not going to League of Women Voters meetings. They're not even going to Chamber of Commerce meetings to hear what people are wanting and needing, and the disappointment and frustration and anger that they are hearing from the people, which is, we work for you, and that's what it should be about. And so, I am hopeful and optimistic from seeing that. I was at a tailgate in Iowa City at a football game, and there's a Republican who parks in that tailgate spot from a friend of mine, and he was saying, he knew that I used to be chair of the Democrat. He's like, who are you all going to be running for governor? I'm tired of what Kim Reynolds is doing. And I said, well, it's not my obligation to fix the chaos in your party that's courting the far right and believing in insurrections But I'm glad that you're looking for what we're doing, and we would welcome your vote to help us out. So people are frustrated, they are angry, and we can get this done, but we do have to do that little bit extra, give a little bit more, bring some younger folks in, and lift up all the candidates that we have here in Story County. So with that said, resources. Where are our hat-passing folks? I see Latifah. Okay, very good. Are you going to entertain us again a little bit? Very good. Now let's thank John for volunteering his time today. Or were you voluntold?
Check. Sounds like it's working. I had a request for some blues. Since you've been gone, I've had time to myself. I haven't even thought about somebody else. You told me you were leaving. It almost came as good news. I know it sounds funny. I'm better off with the blues. Now I must admit that I miss you sometimes. Not a day goes by when you don't cross my mind. But when I think about the hell you put me through, I know it sounds funny. I'm better off with the blues. Someday I'll wake up and the blues will be gone. I'll forget about how everything went wrong. But if I stayed, baby, I'll be dead in my tracks. I still love you, baby, but I don't want you back. Tonight I'm gonna go back to the sad part of town, listen to guitars when the sun goes down. When somebody asks me what happened to me and you, I say, yeah, we had our good times, but I'm better off with the blues. I say, yeah, we had our good times. I'm better off with the blues. They say, yeah, we had a good time. I'm better off with the blues. Better off with the blues. What's it? I've just been referred to as a busker. I love that. Wendy, what went wrong? We were together for so long. I never thought a guy could cry. Made it with another guy. Oh, Wendy, Wendy left me alone. Wendy, don't lose your head. Don't you listen to a word he said. I can't picture you with him. His future looks awful dim. Oh, Wendy left me alone. Wendy, I wouldn't hurt you like that. I thought we had our love down pat. Guess I was wrong. The furthest thing from my mind is the moment that I woke up to find that my Wendy left me alone. Wendy left me alone. Wendy left me alone. Thank you. Give generously.
Thank you. Thank you. If you could all encourage you to be seated, we're going to start with our main speaker coming up here. And thank you all so much for giving generously.
Ryan.
After our main speaker, we'll move on to general announcements. I know there are several, and then we'll get out and enjoy the rest of the day. But Rob Sand, our state auditor, has served as the 33rd Iowa State Auditor since 2019. Member of the Democratic Party, he reaches out to anyone and serves all Iowans, unlike some of our statewide elected officials. In 2022, Rob Sand was reelected and became the only statewide elected Democrat in Iowa. Rob's been doing a fantastic job being an auditor and doing the work despite the governor's efforts to restrict his powers and keeping an eye out for misspent money regardless of party. But I do know that Governor Reynolds has misspent money from the CARES Act, and who knows what she's been doing with coronavirus relief. But with that said, I will say that it's been a pleasure bumping into Rob all over the state. He does his 99-county tour with zest, with zeal. He is wonderful with his family in the parades. I've seen him and been in parades with him, wearing stickers and shaking hands. He's rarely in the center of the street. He's always to one side or the other with people, again, regardless of their background, because they know the importance of oversight. They know the importance of accountability. He stands for them and represents that, and so not a stranger to us here in Story County. Please put your hands together for Rob Sand.
No, you don't need to do that. Have a seat, please. You're too kind. I should have taken a video of that so I could prove it to my wife. Thank you all for coming out. It's good to see everybody. Good to have a room full of Democrats here in Story County. Way to go. I don't often introduce myself, but I'll give you a little bit in the way of background. I don't want to be presumptuous. Oh, everybody knows who I am. On the other hand, I don't want to talk about myself. So which one's worse, right? I'll talk about myself a little bit. I was born and raised in Decorah in northeast Iowa. My dad's family has been from Winnesheek County since we got off the boat from Norway. That's 5 generations ago, so we didn't go very far. Went out east for college. Saw what that was, came right back again. Went to Iowa for law school, Spent 7 years at the Attorney General's office working under Tom Miller. Yep. A great Attorney General for the state of Iowa. When I was there, I prosecuted mostly public corruption cases, a lot of financial crime, some violent crime, pretty much a mix, whatever they put on my desk. I didn't say no. I worked on the Iowa Film Office tax credit scandals, if you remember that. And if you remember that guy Eddie Tipton that rigged more lotteries in America than anyone in history, I'm the guy that caught him. I should plug my book. It came out last year. It's called The Winning Ticket, and it's about the lottery case. If you're not familiar with this, let me tell you, not only are there rigged lotteries, not only is there a trial in a courtroom with lots of drama, not only is there a procedural investigation that's better than anything you see on TV, there are Bigfoot hunters involved. I'm not kidding you. There are people central to this case who spend time in the woods looking for Bigfoot. If that doesn't whet your appetite, I don't know what will. If that doesn't whet your appetite, I'll just add that the Washington Independent Review of Books called it one of their favorite reads of 2022. So you can get it pretty much wherever books are sold. If you can't get it wherever books are sold, you can get it on Amazon. So I got into the AG's office, and I was doing the kind of work I wanted to do, prosecuting people in positions of trust and power who abused that trust and power. One of the most central pieces of the idea in our Constitution of self-governance is that governance and rules are for everybody. We don't have kings and queens. We don't have a king, we don't have a queen, we don't have a dictator, we don't need somebody telling us what to do all the time, we can handle it ourselves. But if we're going to do that, there's got to be consequences for people at the top when they mess up. And I loved working at the Attorney General's office because it was people in positions of trust and power that I was able to dig in and figure out what it was that they were doing that was wrong, and then do something to hold them accountable for it. And I enjoyed doing that. I prosecuted Democrats and Republicans. I prosecuted whoever needed prosecuting. One time, I'm proud of this, when I started to prosecute somebody that it turns out didn't need prosecuting, I dropped the charges. I'm proud of that. My allegiance, my loyalty is to the truth. It's not to my past actions. If I was wrong, I can admit it, right? And I was working at the AG's office. I was probably there for about 6 years. And I'd always been someone who, has a pretty positive outlook on life. I forgot to set a timer when I started here. I don't want to keep you all night. And I was prosecuting all these cases, as well as, like I said, a number of violent crime cases and a number of sexually violent predator civil commitment cases. Worst of the worst that we have in the state of Iowa. People where we're saying if we let them out, they're just going to go do it again because they have some kind of mental abnormality. Really horrific stuff. And after about 6 years, I remember there was a moment where I introduced myself to somebody, and I said what I had always said throughout my life if I was describing myself. Well, I'm a happy and optimistic person, but on that one day it sounded like this. I'm a happy, optimistic person. And I remember hearing it and feeling it and going, oh, I know what my problem is. I'm getting up every day, and the only thing I'm thinking about is the worst things that human beings can do to each other. I should probably get a different job. So if you want to feel good, you get into politics, right? That's a happy place. I had worked with the auditor's office because they conduct public corruption investigations. I like the people I work with. I had seen over the years a couple of things I thought should be done differently. And then I realized in reading the law that the auditor's office also has an incredible authority to promote government efficiency. Boom! I'm sold. I want to be state auditor. I can wake up every day and think of a new way to save taxpayer money. What a wonderful thing. I'm not just cleaning up messes anymore, but I'm actually creating a system that's going to make things operate better. Let me do it. You let me do it. Thank you. So that was 2018, and in my first term, We uncovered more misspent money than any other state auditor ever had in their first term. Not only that, but we created a government efficiency program that is so good at saving tax dollars that the Republican state auditor of Mississippi has already copied it. Do you realize how good an idea has to be for a Mississippi Republican to steal it from a Democrat? That's the first term. And so I said, hey, I like this. I want to keep doing it. And, well, I'm still here. I'm still doing it. It was close, though. I don't know if you noticed. It was real close. We squeaked by. We lost a lot of good folks in 2022 on the ballot. A lot of folks didn't get there. So where are we as Democrats right now, right? Here's the easiest way to understand it. I know where I am. Also, I'll use the Cyclones as an example instead of the Hawkeyes. If your favorite football team goes 6-6, but you look at their games, not just the win-loss record, but you look at their games, and you're like, well, we missed a gimme field goal on this one as time expired, and that's why we lost by 1 point. And on this game, in the fourth quarter, this pass got tipped, and it was all weird, and they picked it up for a pick six and ran it in, and we lost by 5, right? And in this other game, there was this punt return. Speaking of punt returns, there was this punt return that was absolutely 100% a touchdown, but they called it, it was totally ridiculous. I think we should clap for that. I cheer for the Cyclones every Saturday except for one, right? If it's got the name Iowa in it, we want them to win because we're proud of our state. But you can look at 3 games, so you're like, we're 6-6, but if those 3 plays had gone differently, we would be 9-3, and that would really be something, right? That is where we are as a party. The Iowa Democratic Party is a sports team that is much better than its win-loss record looks. And so here's what happened in 2022. There were 7, let's think about it this way, 7 games, 7 statewide races on the ballot in 2022. But I'm going to blow your mind here. In 3 of those 7 races, the Democrat got 49% or better. Has anybody thought about that? That is half the Democrats, ladies and gentlemen, getting half of Iowans to vote for them. This is not a state that is allergic to voting for Democrats. Half of Iowans voted for half the Democrats. And a heck lot of them, probably 45%, voted for nearly all the Democrats, right? That's really close. What else is really close? Just the closest congressional race in American history in 2022. Rita Hart lost by 6 votes, not 6%, not 6 votes per precinct, 6 votes, right? There were 62,000 Democrats who voted in 2018, but not in 2022. There you go. So how close are we to winning again? This close. Does anybody ever say, am I making myself clear here? I know numbers, and some people, the numbers start coming after us and they go like this, right over the top. We are better than our record looks. This is still a state that votes for Democrats. We had more people split their ticket to vote for down-ballot statewide Democrats in the state of Iowa than any other competitive state in the country in 2022. And that was in the worst year for the Democratic Party in my lifetime, right? So, shoulders back, sit up straight. You're an Iowa Democrat, and you are going to help people get elected as Democrats in the state of Iowa in 2024. And why are we going to do it? I'm talking about sports here, but this ain't sports. People's lives improve or get worse based on whether or not we win elections, right? Because that's the purpose, right? I don't want to vote for somebody just because they're a Democrat. I want to elect people to improve people's lives in this state. And whether or not we do that, whether or not we win, is much more important than whether or not that was really a touchdown or an invalid fair catch on Saturday at Kinnick Stadium, right? Because it impacts people's lives. But we are going to win again because, I mean, we're Democrats in Iowa. We have to work hard, right? That's okay. We can work a little bit harder than what we've been doing lately, can't we? Anybody else ready to work hard to go win some elections? We got to knock on a few more doors. We got to send a few more text messages. We got to make a few more phone calls. We got to write a few more checks. Let me tell you something. Do you know where Iowa ranks for political giving per capita in the United States? This is going to be the fairest comparison you can make it. So this is per person in the state, and it's per dollar of income earned. So we're not comparing Iowa to California with all their people. We're not comparing Iowa to Connecticut, where they just make a lot more money. It's per person, per dollar of income earned. 44th. You want to win some elections, folks, we got to act like it, right? We're not going to win elections if we are 44th in political giving per person, per dollar of income earned. Fair? Fair. We got to do that. We have to work hard. But we can. I know we can, because getting up and losing, that's just a loss. We're looking at tomorrow, right? We're looking at what happens in 5 years in this state, what happens in 10 years in this state. And those things are too important to just say, boo-hoo, poor us, we're tired of losing, I don't want to play this game anymore. It's not a game. So we're going to keep doing it because we can and because it's the right thing to do. Here's the other thing. I don't know if you've noticed this, but the Republicans are kind of helping us at this point. Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. When they passed this 6-week abortion ban in 2019, there were a lot of people who said, oh, that's showmanship. Roe versus Wade is on the books, doesn't matter. They're just doing that to please their base. And so a lot of people after that kept voting for Republicans because they said, well, I know they say that stuff about wanting to restrict a woman's reproductive freedom, but they don't really mean it. They just have to say that to go get those votes. How about now? It is 100% real, and we are 100% going to have more people voting for Democrats because of it than we have before. Absolutely. Issue number 2, vouchers. I have had people in my office at the Capitol from red parts of red counties livid about school vouchers. Absolutely livid. One of my most important pieces, there's a lot of reasons to oppose school vouchers, right? Plenty of them. Personally, I'm tired of hearing school choice when the schools get to choose the students. Does everybody know that? You don't actually get to say, oh, hi, I'd like to come to your private school now. Nope, they get to say, let's take a look at you. Let's see where you're from. Let's see who you are. Maybe let's see who your mom and dad are. If you live on the right side of the tracks, the wrong side of the tracks. Let's take a look at who you love. And then we'll decide. That's what school choice is. School choice is schools getting to choose their students. One of my most important parts of my life is my faith. I was raised going to church every Sunday, still do it. When the Sand family gets together for a meal, we don't say grace, we sing it. I've got an aunt that does religious artwork. I've got an uncle who's a bishop, was a bishop, retired now, for the ELCA. My sons are named Tate and Axel. Axel is Axel because I did a little research after my wife suggested the name. Because when she said Axel, I went, eh. And then I looked it up in the big book of Scandinavian names. And it means Father of Peace. And I immediately thought of the Sermon on the Mount. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Everyone in this state, no matter what their faith or none at all, is welcome here 100%. But when I, as a Christian, see what's going on with our vouchers program and watch religious schools exclude people, I can't help but bear the irony in it. The idea behind the Christian faith is that it is for everyone, that everyone is included, that everyone is welcome. Jesus was friends with the people who were excluded by other people, right? So who would he be with right now? Would he be turning people away from his school? No. That's just me. No matter what your faith is, no matter what your perspective is, you can look at this bill and think it's crazy for other reasons too. I like to say that you could actually be for school vouchers, which only about 35% of Iowans are, and still think this bill is crazy because there is no oversight. Public schools in the state of Iowa have got to have public meetings so people can see what's going on. They've got to provide public records to people when they're requested, right? They have to report misspent money. They have to have an annual audit. None of those 4 requirements will apply to private schools who take your tax dollars as vouchers. What are we doing here? Not only that, but there's no rules. Now, if you want to fact check that, it's a slight exaggeration. There's one rule. One thing they can't do with your money once it's paid to them. So, no rules, about as close as you can get mathematically. The only thing they can't do is they can't give a refund to parents. That's it. If a for-profit private school wants to just put your tax dollars in their pocket as a profit, they can do that. If a for-profit private school wants to blow all of your tax dollars on the most irresponsible, ridiculous, gaudy athletic facilities and uniforms to pull in all the athletes, they can do that. If a private school in the state of Iowa wants to take your money, your tax dollars, and use them to wine and dine the parents of prospective students, to take them out for a big steak dinner and get them a nice fancy glass of wine and say, we're going to take such good care of your kids, they can do that. That's legal now in the state of Iowa with your tax dollars, and there's no rule against it. Bless my heart, when I discovered this, I thought they had made a mistake. I thought maybe I was the first one that read that bill the right way and noticed that there weren't any rules. So I brought it to somebody who actually advocates for vouchers. I said, hey, I was just reading this. It took me a couple times through it, but there's not any rules for the private schools. All of these rules about spending it on qualified educational expenses and this and that, those are for the parents. But once it gets paid as tuition, and it's required to get paid as tuition, first, before any other expenses, they can do whatever they want, and there's no oversight. And then I waited. I was expecting, are you sure? Well, that can't be. Who would want that? No, here's the answer. Oh yeah, we know. We don't want public oversight of private schools. Then don't give them public money! This seems so uncomplicated to me. You don't want public oversight of private schools? Oh, sweet. See ya. Good luck. Hope you do well. But you don't get public money, because public money, we have oversight for that, right? Bless my heart. Iowans don't like this. And the more they learn about it, the more they don't like it. The Iowa poll asked people about this program in 2022. 55% opposed. The Iowa poll asked people about this program in 2023. 63% opposed. The more people learn about this bill, the more they don't like it. Can we win again? Yes. We are a sports team that is better than our record looks, and the Republicans are helping us at this point, right? And let's talk about one more thing. They just gutted the auditor's office. If you miss this, now in the state of Iowa, if you are getting audited by the state auditor and you're a state agency, there's a long list of documents that you're not supposed to provide to the auditor's office. What? I know, I'm not going to repeat it, but it's true. Here's the funniest part. If we ask for a document and they say, no, I don't think we're going to give you that, and we say, oh, even with this new ridiculous list, we think we're supposed to have it, we can't take them to court anymore to have an independent judge decide whether or not we should get the document. Now we go to a 3-person arbitration panel. The 3 people on that panel is 1 person from the agency that we are auditing. 9 times out of 10, that's under the governor's office. 1 person from our office and a 2nd person appointed by the governor. There are 2 over here and 1 over here. You do not need to be an accountant or a CPA to figure out how that math is going to work. I was at the state fair just about every day. An astronomical number of people came up to me and said something like, I'm not a Democrat, but I can't believe what they did to you. I'm a conservative, but you should keep doing and being able to do what you're supposed to do. This is one of those issues, folks, that just kind of stops people in their tracks. They are used to having fights about guns. They're used to having fights about God. They are used to having fights about gays. Guns, God, and gays, right? It's what we've been talking about for, it feels like, my whole life. When everyone goes, wait, they don't want the government to get audited anymore? They're not used to that argument, and they don't like it. We can win again, and quick. I am a believer in that 100%. We can do it, right? Because they are giving us all of this ammunition, because they think they can't lose. They're giving us all this ammunition at a time where we still have plenty of people in the state of Iowa who are totally comfortable voting for Democrats, right? Not just the people in this room, but a lot of other ones too. Here is our job. We don't have to forget, but we do need to forgive some people, okay? Do you want to get people to vote for Democrats in 2024? Raise your hand if you do. How about 2026? 2028? 2030? Okay. Is it going to help if you're still mad at them about who they voted for 2 years ago? No. Correct! Mike Wolf.
That was him. But I agree.
Oh, that wasn't you? Oh, it was Ryan.
I've been mistaken for much worse.
See, it's a good thing that Ryan's running for office. He's a leader. He knew the answer to that one. We can't get people to refocus on the 3 issues that I was just talking about if all we want to do is yell at them about who they voted for 4 years ago or 6 years ago or 8 years ago or 10 years ago. Does anyone think that I am wrong? It doesn't mean you can't still be disappointed. I may look young. I know I look young. I look young. I've been married for 11 years. One thing I've figured out in 11 years is that if I get up and I argue, or I'm jumping the gun here. If I bring up the issues that I know I'm going to have an argument about, my day is not a fun day, right? There's at least 3 of them. I am not naming them for you. I'm sure some of them are the same that is in your relationships. And if you're not married, then it's with your dad or your mom or your best friends, right? We just don't need to talk about the things we're going to get mad about because it doesn't help us solve the problems we need to solve, right? We have to accept where we are, and we have to find a way to move forward. Because if we don't do that, we can't get people refocused on where our state is right now. Where our state is right now is that we have a 6-week abortion ban that is actually probably going to take effect in the state of Iowa because Roe versus Wade is no more. We have a school vouchers program that is going to rob public schools of the funds that they need to educate our children and really hurt rural schools. And we have an inability to find waste, fraud, and abuse because there's a small number of insiders that actually run the state of Iowa right now, and they don't want to be held accountable for what they do wrong. You and I both know that most Iowans don't like any of those things, and we have got to do the work to focus them on those issues so that they will vote for Democrats in 2024. Tell me if you are with me. You can figure out what you need to do. You can figure out what your own thought process is going to be and getting past that for people where we've had disagreements. But they're going to see a lot of things that they don't like coming from Republicans. That's step 1. Step 2 is looking at Democrats and feeling like we're going like this, not making a different gesture that is less welcoming, right? But unless we're going like this, they're probably not going to come on over, right? We've got to do that. So when you're on social media, you don't have to turn off the caps lock, right? If you're going to engage with somebody, engage with them with kindness. If it's someone that you know is a troll and you know they're just full of it, right? You're not arguing with them. You're having a public argument. You're in a restaurant that's crowded with people on the internet. Think of it this way. When people look at your comments, whose side are they going to take? Who's the reasonable one? Who's the one that's actually trying to be nice, right? So we've got to, again, I'm going to loop this back to where we started this whole thing. The Constitution, self-governance. If we want self-governance that is focused on good things for Iowa, we have to govern ourselves in how we engage with our fellow Iowans. Sound good? Okay. I don't know how to end this. I hope it, oh, no. Someone had suggested questions. Do you want to do, should I do questions, or is this like a 5 o'clock, let's get out of here kind of thing? I'll hang around in the back in case people want to do questions. Let's just end it right here, okay? So I'm going to sum it up again. We are better than our record looks over the last 8 years in the state of Iowa, and this state is full of people who are perfectly fine voting for Democrats. We have got to do two things. One, remind them what Republicans are doing right now that makes them angry and hurts their communities and hurts their families. And two, be nice to them and welcome them into our party. If we do that, we're going to win again and quick. Thank you.
Rob Sand, everybody, Rob Sand. We're going to end with some announcements that are important, so please hang around for these are some important announcements coming up. I did want to say, thanks again to Rob for that uplifting message. I think it's got us all fired up. And for the record, Rob, I will admit in 2007, I was mayor, and I did a ribbon cutting at a showing of the anniversary of the Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot film. No city funds were used other than the scissors that I used. Announcements. While Lucy's coming up with an announcement, I will mention that Veterans Day, November 11th, 11 o'clock, we have a ceremony, annual ceremony, and please come and participate. Senator Kornbach can tell you information about that. And while I'm on Senator Kornbach, he does have a fundraiser December 6th, December 8th at Prairie Moon at 6:30. There's the 6th.
Lateef and I have a joint announcement, but just absentee voting is taking place right now for the city school election. You can come over to the office in Nevada and vote 8 to 4:30. We also have satellite voting on Saturday, November 4th at the Ames Public Library from 10 to 4. If you applied for an absentee ballot, you should have gotten it already, hopefully. They went out on Wednesday. I got mine Friday, and I mailed it back yesterday. So if you have any questions, please call the office 382-7210. We can help you. Thanks. Oh, and Lateef and I, we're both on the ballot next year, and we're going to kick things off with the fundraiser December 16th.
Location to be?
Location TBD. That's not a bar. It's to be determined. So, yeah, we're all very excited. Lateefa has been an excellent colleague, and I'm really looking forward to, I'm not looking forward to 2024. It's going to be a really rough year for auditors. So, I'll take anything anybody wants to give me, thoughts, prayers, chocolate, alcohol, whatever. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to running with Lateefa, and I'm not sure if Paul, and with Paul, or, yeah, is Paul still here? We're the 3 county officials that are on the ballot next year, so, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to say anything?
Yeah, I do, actually. And if Just to interrupt the applause for a second, I just need to reiterate, I know you all know Lucy really well, and you know what an amazing job she does and has done for Story County, but it is a pleasure to work in the same building with this woman and her staff. And so I encourage everybody to get behind her and support her, because it is going to be a hard year for auditors. It's just going to be it's going to be a rough.
It's going to be a lot.
It's going to be a lot. Yeah, it's going to be a lot. So we're both grateful for all of you and everything that you do regularly for the party and for your communities, and it will be a pleasure to have an opportunity to serve all of you again, hopefully. So.
Yay.
Yay!
Yay. Hugs,
And then one more announcement. Wednesday, the 26th at 6:30. Is it Wednesday? Thursday. Thank you. I seem to be messing up the days. Thursday, the 26th at 6:30 at the library will be an event remembering Dr. Martin Luther King and his Nobel Peace Prize Award, and then a panel. I will be on the panel, Ross will be on the panel, a representative from the Iowa Democratic Black Caucus will also be on the panel, along with hopefully a few others, and we'll be talking about what we can do, what we need to be doing to continue Dr. King's good work into the future. So I hope that we'll be able to see you. I know that's at the same time as the Central Committee meeting, but maybe you can split your time and come see us for a few minutes. So thank you very much.
And one more announcement. I better get the date right on this, right, Herman? Thursday, November 30th. Thursday, November 30th, I will be having my campaign announcement party, asking for your support and your vote again for House District 50. Thank you. It'll be at the Parlor 199 Washington Avenue, near the funeral home south of Lincoln Highway, at 6:30, and it will be a dessert gathering. I'll need some volunteers to bring a couple dozen of something. I'll have more information on the newsletter, and I'll get that out on my social media, but 3 speeches maximum, and for the other hour and a half, a personal friend of mine, a singer-songwriter, she's on tour right now in western Iowa. She's sung in Cuba and Europe. I can't say her name because the next day she has a gig in another part of Iowa, and there's a contractual thing, so I don't want to ruin her. But you'll love her. She sings jazz, gospel, blues. One of my favorite songs that I quote sometimes for some of those far righters is called "Why Is Your Heaven So Small?" Think about that. But otherwise, thank you all so much for being here. Thanks for all of our speakers. And Rob, thank you so much. A great representative for us and the people in accountability. And with other than that, I just always come back to the first time I ran for office while living in this county. I had a slogan, "Let's be Iowa," standing for people and creating opportunities for everybody. Thanks so much, everybody.